What's going on, guys? Evan the Dark Souls enthusiast here, bringing another Dark Souls gameplay commentary on the Xbox 360. This is going to be a series of invasions and duels in the Kiln, the understood PvP zone of Dark Souls. I'm going to be rocking the Silver Knight Sword and the Flameberg for numerous matches here, alternating between the two depending on my preference. Of course, this is post-game commentary, this is not commentated live. This is a new character. I mean, it's been in development for a while because I don't bottomless box glitch and it takes a long time to play through the game. Multiple times unlocking sunlight blades and things like that. I've had some real struggles in this game recently, not to say there's anything wrong with the game so much as I don't want to say take a little break, but I was playing some other games. You know, as much as I like Dark Souls, I didn't want to do like all Dark Souls all the time. Particularly after I spent so much time commentating the Ellie series of videos, things like that. So, anyway, I finally decided to jump back on here, and a combination of three things occurred, none of which were particularly good. One of which was I was really rusty. I hadn't played in quite a while, and I was struggling to really do anything effective for PvP. It's a pretty close match there. This one was basically determined by a backstab with the Hornet's Ring, which is pretty common. But as I was saying, I threw out maybe 4 hours worth of PvP footage in the Kiln because I'd say out of maybe 80 matches, I probably lost about 60. So it was a really bad night. I've decided the Silver Knight Sword maybe isn't the best weapon of PvP within the world. Maybe not the worst either, but definitely not the best. I also found that since I haven't played in a while, there are some concessions about Dark Souls that I had forgotten in that period of time. One of which is the lag. I know this has been talked about a lot on forums and stuff, but I'm not going to belabor the point. We all know there's lag. It's never going to change. You either accept it or you don't. I love this game, so I chose to accept it and play through it, but let there be no doubt the lag is terrible. It's pretty common for me to take hits from people who are stabbing a mile away, particularly people that have like washing pole, any of the long katanas like this guy. I mean, this guy pretty much destroys me over and over, and there's a lot of reasons for that I'll talk about here once I get past my little introduction. But yeah, there's definite lag you have to accept, and there's definitely certain character builds that are going to be dominant. There's certain strategies that are going to be dominant. But that's no different than any other game. Of course, I completely played that wrong. I've been trying to work on my parrying ability, and I've been trying to take the chances to do parries and things like that. Trying to learn to parry basically will get you killed, and that's why I lost so many matches in the 4-hour spree in the Kiln that ultimately decided not to upload. It just takes a while to learn to parry, and I'm still learning for sure. I also, actually this character, just so everyone knows, isn't actually complete. She'll ultimately have Dark Moonblade. Right now I just have 2 copies of Sunlight Blade because I decided to play through the game 3 times, so I'd have 3 buffs for my attunement slots. Until then, Wrath of Gods occasionally substitutes. And this guy, of course, has the Moonlight Greatsword, in my opinion, one of the top 5 weapons of the game easily, particularly if you don't want to do a Vitality Gouge. For Vitality Gouge, I'm pretty sure any of the katanas are the best. Claymore's great. But this isn't a build discussion, this is just some little Dark Souls PvP, plenty of time in this video, 20-minute video. I originally wanted to do another hour-long epic session, but I just kind of ran out of steam. I got a lot of homework to get done in the whole grad school thing, so sometimes I just can't get the videos out as much as I'd like to. I know a lot of people have subscribed new. I've got a lot of new subscribers, and that's fantastic. The numbers keep growing. I lose some of my games some, but I know people have been, sending me some messages like, "Where's the videos, man?" I'm like, they come out when they can. Sometimes they come out pretty frequently, and sometimes there's little hiatuses while I catch up on homework and stuff, because work and school are always going to be prioritized over YouTube stuff, as much as I prefer the YouTube stuff. But considering I don't receive any financial compensation for these videos, I'm not like a partner or anything like that, there's really no way I can justify spending, 10 hours a day on gameplay videos while I'm not making any money. But that's a pretty long introduction. Let's get into some actual PvP commentary. He's using a katana, he's using the Chaos Blade, which is a lot better than people give it credit for, particularly when you seem to have a ton of vitality like he does. He's rocking a pretty standard armor build there, as am I, but mine's vastly inferior to his. I know I was talking about doing like an armors vids, but I'm not real sure. If you guys want to comment below what you guys think I should do in the armors vids, like I could give recommended setups and stuff, but I don't know if you guys want style or what's optimal, because they're not really the same thing. And that is, the optimal build is basically one of the family masks, depending on the kind of character you have, combined with some pieces of Havels, some pieces of Giants, most likely. And if you're trying to rock some lower weight stuff, probably 2 pieces of Havels. Havels gauntlets and Havels leggings are the easiest and quickest way to get 55 poise. They're also the lowest weight, so it pretty much goes on 99% of all builds, including my own, if you're not doing like a family mask. Because really, if you're not doing like family masks, it's going to be hard to get your equip burden where you need it, depending on the weight of your weapons and things like that. I find that in PvP, for the most part, heavier weapons dominate. Black Knight, Great Axes, of course, in my videos. You see how far that guy stabbed me from? It's not his fault, but... And this has been happening a lot too, I noticed, with the lag, is I'll backstab somebody and they won't take any damage, or they'll backstab me and I won't take any damage. It's pretty sad, really. Of course, that match wasn't too far away. The Silver Knight Sword just doesn't hit that hard, even with... this character rocks 40 dexterity, and anything after 40 dexterity is kind of a diminishing returns on your dex, so it's usually good to stop there and start getting vitality and other things. But even with the Sunlight Blade there, I just can't... it's not working. His stuff's just doing way more damage and he's bringing me down. He's also grassing for stamina. I have 99 grass, I just never use it. That's probably an error on my part. I just don't like to pre-buff. I even try to bow before I enchant my weapon, and sometimes that gets me killed. People will rush and attack me, and that's fine. I totally respect that decision. I don't really think I'm entitled to a free buff. A lot of people have been using the strategies on me that I've used on others, such as running until the time on the buffs wear off and stuff like that. And, actually I find I win more matches when people run from my buffed weapons than when they don't, because that sort of encourages me to swap over to my elemental stuff, and my elemental stuff is on really cookie-cutter weapons like claymores and katanas and things like that, which are pretty straightforward, so that actually makes things easier. It's been a while since I've done a commentary. It feels good to be back on the mic, guys. Take a minute here in the middle of the video to say thanks for listening. I appreciate it. But, of course, this guy's got the Dark Moon Blade, so his stuff's going to do more damage than mine. His katana is also going to do way more damage than my Silver Knight Sword, and he pretty much runs me over. The family masks are so dominant in PvP if you're just playing to win. I'm using Big Hat because I had sort of talked it down in some other commentaries, and some people said that it's got some boss magic defense. So I was like, well, I'll give it a try. And that guy basically dead angles me, I think. I can't have hit me in the back or dead angle me. I'll try to describe dead angling the best that I can. I don't use a lot of weapons other than the Black Knight Great Axe that let me dead angle, but basically, the easiest way to describe it is you can hit people from the front in a way that will cause them, like, basically, it's like guard break almost. No, that's not right. I'm like the worst guy ever trying to explain dead angles. Okay, basically dead angles are unblockable attacks. You can hold your shield up to the attack and still take damage, but it's a game mechanic as opposed to an actual weapon. Like the shuttle goes through shields. This is a little different. Like if you take a great scythe, you can run and actually swing it behind somebody and hit them. Things like that. It's just, there's some other videos on YouTube that show you how to dead angle. It's not something I do very often. I usually don't use that kind of weapons. Of course, now I've switched over to the Flameberg. I've had a lot more success with the Flameberg than the Silver Knight Sword. The Silver Knight Sword came recommended to me, so I figured I'd give it a try, but it just doesn't have the range I need on a sword. The katanas had more range and did more damage, and they were better designed for dex characters. I couldn't justify using a Silver Knight Sword. I really like it. I like all the Silver Knight stuff. I like the armor too, but unfortunately, none of it's really very good. And most of my builds that I could try to do to basically wind up using a family mask. And I'm trying to boycott the family mask. The only character that won't, my Black Knight Great Axe character is always going to wear the Mask of the Father of the Encumbrance, because Black Knight Great Axe is so heavy, I can't really wear it with heavy armor otherwise. And that's like the easy mode build where, you guys saw my video on YouTube, and if you haven't, it's up there, where I basically show you how, if you're struggling to do well on PvP and Dark Souls, that'll take care of it. Of course, I have to buff mid-combat there. I decided to try to rebuff instead of switching over my elemental weapon, and it kind of worked out. I took a little chip damage, took a hit, but no big deal. If you heard that little beep in my background, it's my Xbox on idle. Now, I don't punish that correctly, but this is just a quick tip for PvP. Never, ever fire magic close range like that unless it's like an all-in kind of thing, because that, you know, you could roll right through it, even without a Darkwood Grain Ring, and furthermore, it leaves you open just to get backstabbed a lot. I'm not aggressive enough in my backstabs. I'm not confident. No matter how much I play this game, I always seem to struggle with the whole backstab mechanic. I grasp it, that's not the issue. The issue with trying to backstab is that I'm never confident in the lag, and I don't trust myself to account for the lag. I'm just not very good at like stabbing people through rolls. I don't know how it makes sense that you can backstab through a roll, but you can, so usually I'll try to like roll in on somebody and I'll just get backstabbed. It's pretty embarrassing in a lot of ways. I feel bad when I put up these videos sometimes because I know that Dark Souls is definitely kind of a game that draws a sort of elitist, a very elitist audience, and unfortunately that's not me. I'm just not an elitist gamer. I've never been, never will be. There are games that I'm very good at, but I would say that this is not one of them. Not to say I'm selling myself short. I think I am more knowledgeable of the game than a lot of other players, but that doesn't by no means implies I'm like a master of PvP. You see right there, clearly this dude we tried to backstab each other, and I'm not sure what happened there. That happens to me a lot. I'm telling you, the lag drastically changes the way this game plays. I accept that, but it is something that sometimes I get a little upset about. Lag is definitely the crutch in this game, though. Like, whenever you lose, it's usually lag's fault. At least you'll find yourself telling yourself that, which I think a big part of getting better at this game is accepting the faults in the game, because both players have to deal with the faults in this game, so you just have to accept them and move on. Another good example of that is, you know, is Giant's armor and the family mask dominant? Yeah, absolutely. For basically no weight, you either get a significant more amount of life, a ton of more equip burden, or, you know, you get basically a free grass recovery, things like that. Those are all obviously strictly superior than getting random defense on random armor. Like Big Hat's armor, for example, Big Hat's helmet, rather, has the highest magic defense of any single item in the game, as far as I know. And even wearing it, I still get rolled over by Wrath of Gods. And I'm also wearing the Witch's Cloak, which has the highest magical defense armor in the game. So even with those two things combined, Wrath still shoves me back and still does a tremendous amount of damage, so it's just not that great. Just so everyone's wondering, I'm rocking the Witch's robes, which I think look amazing, Big Hat's hat, and Crest Shield. Crest Shield also became highly recommended to me from someone who was basically saying I was a pretty lousy player in the comments, and that was cool. I didn't take offense, and everyone's entitled to their opinion as long as they present it in a respectable way. But he said you basically suck and using the wrong shields and things like that. Like Boulder's shield sucked, use a Crest Shield, etc., etc., etc. And I decided, you know, I'm open to suggestions. I'll try about anything, so I'm trying the Crest Shield. There are a lot of things I like about it, like it lets you, you know, it's actually a pretty great shield all around, basically because of the weight. It doesn't have a whole lot of stability, so people can't guard break the hell out of you if they really try. Like, if people start beating down on you with heavy weapons, it will guard break you. There's really nothing that can be done about it. I kind of poise stab through that. Poise, of course, as I explained in other videos, lets you take hits, and this guy starts flasking up. Now, these are the kind of players that kind of make me rage a little bit, frankly. He's using a family mask, you know, a large portion of the giant set, crystal magic weapon, and he still has to flask. Of course, once a host starts flasking, I no longer consider it a duel, I consider it invasion. And that guy just dead-angled me, by the way. He swings his sword behind me, doesn't even connect with me, but I take damage. That's sort of a dead angle in a nutshell, but struggling to find my right item here. Managed to pop a humanity. If I had it already in my inventory, then I wouldn't have had to take damage to do it, but, you know, whatever, that's what happens. I should forewarn, this is going to be a duel that goes on for several minutes, with us flipping around and both of us being too cowardly to make a move. He's rocking the giant set, so my fear is the fact that without a buff on my weapon, there's no way I can hit stun him through that giant's. Not that the buff has anything to do with the hit stun, but I'm basically thinking, like, if we start damage racing, he will win for sure. Bleed will go off before I can kill him. Because the Flameberg, while it has bleed on it, you'll find it very difficult to ever actually get bleed off on somebody due to the fact it doesn't swing it. Like, if you want to bleed somebody, you have to have a weapon that attacks fast and build it up. Or a weapon that just does a ton of bleed per hit. Basically what I'm saying is you're using a Life Hunt Scythe, a Katana, or Priscilla's Dagger if you want to bleed somebody. And of course, I don't get all the way behind him. I struggle with the rushing into backstab people trying to heal. It's really easy to do, but I keep doing it wrong. The easiest way to think about it, in my mind, is lock on and just run, and then try to run right by their shoulder, and it should let you jerk behind them and backstab them. Failing that, of course, another option is to just drop your lock on, run behind them, and backstab manually. I think they call that a pivot stab. That's something I'm still working on. There's a lot of like nuances and skills you can learn in this game that I haven't figured out, like how to do them. Like, I need to work on my parrying, and parrying's, in my opinion, regardless of what the elitists say, I think parrying is half luck, half skill. With that said, I do need to work on the skill part, and just hope I'm lucky, I guess, for the parries. With the oops, got backstab basically. It's not really a lag stab so much as he just basically just ran right past me and backstabbed me. So I'm sort of got a lot of thoughts in my head. Even as I commentate this, I'm thinking a lot about this game. So whenever I play it, I kind of get motivated to play it more and more, and it becomes a little bit of an addiction, I think. But as I was saying, I need to work on dead angles, which I described poorly earlier. I need to work on my dead angle skills. I need to work on my backstab skills. There's just a lot of things in this game that I need to work on to become really, like, I guess, like, quote-unquote elite at it. See, and there's one of those things that occurs that kind of makes me not want to play this sometimes. Like, there are factors in this game that sometimes just burn me out on it. The lag and the poise are usually the biggest culprits. I'm surprised that guy didn't get bled out. And the fact that it's really hard to get PvP in. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I can stand in the kiln and spam my red eye orb and not find people to invade, and I'll get, you know, invaded by people. Like, the worst is when someone's invading you and it fails to establish session. So you basically just stand around and no one ever actually invades you. But it makes your red eye orb stop working. I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but it's something I'm dealing with, and it's pretty frustrating. It didn't used to happen to me, but now it does. I'm basically just trying to draw this guy into the Black Knight, but unfortunately the Black Knights in the kiln seem to have the worst AI. Of all of Gwyn's army, they were clearly the most confused as far as I can tell. And this match is degenerating to the point where there's no skill whatsoever. I'm basically just backing up, mashing, rolling, holding my shield up, and he's trying to get up in my grill so that he can backstab me. But like I said, once you start healing, it's no longer a duel. At that point, it becomes an invasion. And there's basically no rules in invasions, in my opinion. Unless you're in an understood, like, dueling area. The Black Knight jumps on him, that's pretty funny. Unless you are in one of the understood dueling areas of the games, invasions are different. In invasions, I expect the host to flask, I expect him to summon phantoms, I expect him to do absolutely anything he can. With that said, last time I was in the kiln, like I said, those 4-hour videos I deleted, I almost broke a controller, I think, because I ran into maybe 3 or 4 different people that were standing around with huge teams of friends, like 3 friends and like triangles around the spawning area in the kiln, and it was ridiculous. I mean, that happens every now and again, and it's no big deal. But the fact that it was happening over and over, and different people to boot, it was unbelievable. It was completely unacceptable. And it happened for hours. I tried to get out of the server, but I don't get to choose the server I play on, which is stupid. Thanks, Namco Bandai. Worst localization ever. Throwing that out there. But that almost made me like delete 4 hours of footage and just took a big break from the game. You know, took a couple days off, and I was really intent to put out a Dark Souls video, and that stalled the whole thing. It was pretty bad. There's really nothing you can do about that except play really well and beat all 3 of them, and very few players that I know of, if any, can consistently beat 3 people that are designed for PvP. Like, when I invaded like these triangles of 3 people, they were all rocking like full giants, full havels with like Black Knight Great Axes and Ninja Rings. They're flipping around with 76 poise with Black Knight Great Axes, and you start beating on one and the other 2 start hammering you. There's no way on this character I could possibly do enough backstab damage to one-hit him, so the host is of course always hiding in the back. I can't one-shot backstab him, so all I can really do is backstab the host once, then try to chain stab him before he rolls out and spams his flask while I get beat down by his buddies. Or try to land like a parry or something like that, but even when you're trying to parry, someone usually will try to run behind you and backstab you while you're trying to parry the guy in front of you. It's just bad news bears. It's really exciting whenever you see a duel where someone beats up on 3 people, but I struggle with that, particularly when people all have PvP builds. It's one thing when, or like strength PvP builds, I would do better if there was 3 people with like katanas, because at least then they wouldn't have like, I don't know, stack life and Black Knight great axes, or like I invaded this group, like there's like 3 vitality gouges, which is basically like 80 plus vitality with an elemental weapon. There was nothing I could do. Total beatdown. Claymores hit stunning me for days. Someone posted a comment that my videos are basically complete rants, and I think this video is a huge offender of that. I'm a little out of the commentating scene on this game, so had to throw something out there just to show you guys I still am commentating this game and I like it. And I don't think this guy's here to PvP. This guy's just here to kill Gwen, and he gets invaded, and that's what happens. He's got the giants. I feel like, you know, I took maybe like a 2-week hiatus from this game, and I came back, or at least from the PvP, because I was busy building the PvP characters and chasing down Knight's Honor achievement, and I came back, and I'm really shocked. I feel like it's become even more cookie cutter than I remember it. I see so much Giants armor, I see so many family masks. I used to see some really weird stuff, like, I mean, to be fair, in the huge 4-hour footage I deleted, one guy did invade me with Dragon's Tooth, Plank Shield, and a sack on his head, and he wound up killing me because he rolled past a swing of my sword and backstabbed me for like a gajillion damage. And that was pretty neat, but unfortunately that got deleted in my fell swoop of rage. Of course, this spear, that's the Horn of the Moonlight Butterfly. He's basically rocking like a magic, you know, intelligence build with Moonlight Greatsword and stuff like that. Pretty standard. The Moonlight Horn is actually a pretty common part of that build, which is completely fine. It's just, and right there what happened was I messed up the spacing on my roll, and when I tried to roll R1 him, which is actually pretty good with the Flameberg, he winded up punishing it pretty hard, so completely my fault. But yeah, as I was saying, the Horn of the Moonlight Butterfly is actually pretty decent for PvP as like a sidearm kind of thing, as he's trying to use it, but it's really punishable. So if you screw up your spacing at all, people will roll in and backstab you or just start beating on you. None of the spears really do enough damage in that they don't hit stun you at all, so people can just take like a hit to their poise and walk in and backstab you. That's my biggest complaint with poise. It's not the fact that it's in the game, it's the interaction between poise and backstabbing. PvP has basically become stunlock fest and backstab fest, which kind of sums up the game. Once again, you either take this game for what it is or you just don't play it. I take it for what it is, but I have no delusions that basically fights do boil down to, you know, backstabs and stunlocks. It's pretty much the only way you do damage, or magic spam. Magic spam rarely works unless it's Wrath of God spam. Of course, it's funny. You put Wrath of God spam on YouTube and everyone will rage on you. I found that out firsthand. I managed to escape the Moonlight Greatsword beatdown there. I was trying to do the weapon toggle to get out of it, but I wound up just taking the hits and then getting out the easy way. I've heard that a good way to PvP on this game is to actually PvP without lock-on, but that really only works if you're not rocking a shield. And since I kind of crutch on my shield pretty bad sometimes, I wouldn't want to risk that. I kind of do want to consider not using a shield, though. I feel like that would help advance me as a player if I just didn't rock a shield on a build and just went non-shield the whole time. I feel bad for this guy. This guy was not a PvP character at all. He's got, I believe, an S-stock. It's not elemental. I don't really know what's on it. He's probably here to kill Gwen. Because Gwen, of course, is extremely weak to parries, as I demonstrated when I killed him on Ellie. Extremely weak to parry, so he's probably just here to parry him and beat him down. Oh, maybe it's a lightning S-stock. I think it's a lightning S-stock. Either way, it's, you know, it's clearly not designed for PvP. He didn't even bow or anything like that. Here comes, of course, the Wrath spams on my side. The point of Wrath on this character actually isn't to do damage, it's to finish characters off and to buy time for me to buff my weapon if need be. Because thankfully you can have your talisman out to do either. Because whenever I pull my talisman out, people go in a mad rush to get me before I buff, which makes sense. So if I have Wrath, I can usually threaten them back. Of course, I only have one stack of it in my inventory at any given time, but my opponents won't know that. So if I just, you know, shoot one Wrath off and run at them, they'll usually start spamming the roll to get away from the Wraths. At which point I can quickly switch over to Sunlight Blade or Dark Moon Blade and buff. I've been trying to bring you guys some footage from some less common weapons. I see Flameberg from time to time, but I rarely ever saw Silver Knight Sword, and I can see why. So I'm trying to bring some interesting dex weapons instead of just like katanas, but I do have to acknowledge that katanas are the best choice. I really should come out here with a family mask, a katana, and a buffet and just go to town, but I don't know if you guys are interested in seeing that. If you want to see like cookie cutter dex builds, maybe leave me a comment and let me know that's what you're into. Anyway, this is going to be the last duel in this video series. I hope you guys like this. I apologize for the huge lapse in videos and the even more ranty commentary than usual, but you know, this is coming out at 4 a.m. in the morning when I woke up from a nap, so my sleep schedule is pretty much jacked. It's bad news bears all around, so anyway, bad news bears all around. I just paused to remember I had a ton of homework I'm actually behind on and stuff like that, so you know, glad I took a break to throw a little commentary out finally. I'm not going to do a second take of this commentary despite the ranting. I just don't have time right now to be picky, so I always appreciate everyone who watches my videos and subscribes and comments and rates. I know the YouTube scene is quickly saturating with, you know, countless commentators for countless games, most of which are centered in the Call of Duty franchise, but I totally appreciate the fact that everyone's sticking with me, and those of you that are interested in my commentaries, I appreciate your watching. Your support means everything. I don't know if I could keep commentating if I didn't have any subscribers, so I appreciate all that you guys do. Everyone take care, and I hope to see you for the next one. Put some requests in the videos if you want to see something different, but don't request any new character builds because I don't have time to build a new character right now. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please, everyone take care.